It's the end of the year and I'm sorting out orphan blocks. I put them all up on my wall and I look at them and think about how am I going to ever get these things put together. All of those lovely stars came from a friend of mine. Wynne was cleaning out her sewing cupboard and she said, "Oh, I'm never going to use these, so would you like them?" And so here they are on my wall. There's lots of them and they're really well made. The first thing I do is kind of sort them by color. I'm a very color oriented person. And then I look at the scraps that I still have sitting on my table from the last project that I finished. Oh, I need to either use red or put those away. But back to the wall. I have sorted them. There's a brown group, there's a blue group, and then there's a multicolored purple and blue group. So I'm going to start with this group and I'm going to make something from it. I always try to put things on point. I like the orientation. And then I have a whole bunch of half square triangles that I found in my bin. I'm going to add them to the corners and make the quilt a bit bigger. So there's my first stab at the first one. On the wall here, I have my main blocks. I put this one in the center because it's got the most impact, saturated colors. So I'm going to work my way out from there. So the first thing I need to do is sew these 9 together. Sometimes orphan blocks are not exactly the same size, so I always check to make sure that they are sewn correctly and they are a uniform size. And that really has a big impact on the type of sashing I would use. I'm going to use sashing to join them together. And I've looked at my stash of leftover strips of jelly rolls and things that people have given me. And I've got all of these really pretty blue and green colors over here. This one is an ombre, it goes light to dark. So I think they're going to be what I'm going to use in between. And I think in this center portion, I'm going to cut the jelly roll strips lengthwise in half so that my sashing is only 1 1/4 inch rather than the 2 1/2 inch size they are. So that's the next thing that I'm going to do is join these together. And then what I think I'll do is put a wider sashing around the outside here. And when I get to these corner blocks, of course I need to make a few more half square triangles to fill in what isn't there. And by the time I finish picking the blues and greens to sash it, I will determine what piece of fabric I'm going to put in the center, like this, and the triangles that go on the other pieces I will determine once I get this center section done. So sewing the sashing on is pretty straightforward. I am working off of this center piece as my color focus. So I'll put it up on the wall when I finish sewing these 9 together. So it's another day and here I am again sewing. I'm doing the laundry in the next room over, so if you hear a background noise, that's my washing machine. Multitasking. Anyway, I've been working at this and the 9 blocks in the center here. I've put sashing in between the rows, and now I've been working at the 2 bottom ones over here and over here, and I had the corner half square triangles that I found in my orphan block bins, and I had enough to use for the corners, but I had to make a center square to imitate what is in the center of my quilt here. So it's easy enough to do that, but for the upper one, I need to actually make some more half square triangles to make enough to finish that square. I have 5 and I have to make 3 more. So I went into my scrap bin, my 5-inch squares of cut squares. They come in handy in projects like this. And I found some purples and I found some whites. I don't have many whites in there, but I did. And so what I'm doing is going to use these 5-inch squares to make half square triangles. I put a line, I draw a line down the center, and then I will sew a row of stitching on either side of that line that I drew, and then I will cut with my rotary cutter up the middle and press these open, square them up, and they will be perfect matches for this 4.5-inch half square triangle. So that's what I'm going to do first. Sew these two. So I'll sew these together so that they are, no, maybe I'll do this first. So to do the center of the blocks over here, to do the center, I need a square and I need 4 triangles. This is going to be the square in the middle, and I measured out the amount that I need, and it is going to be a 6.5-inch square. And that will fit in there perfectly. It's always nice having strips of things around. There's my centerpiece. And then I need 4 triangles to go around the square. And I already know they need to be 4.5 5-inch squares. And then cut them diagonally in half. Two more. So now one goes there, one goes here, here, and here. Now just sew these together. Corners, 4.5. Oh, 3. One more. Now just sew that one together. I like the sound of the sewing machine. I also like the fact that I could sit and look at my design wall. It's really pretty. And that's not me squeaking, that's my chair. There. I'll just press it and put it on the wall. Now to pick out the next one and get it sewn as well. It doesn't take long. So now that I have the 4 corners, I need to fill in these spaces here, here, around there, and down there. So here is the next step. I have to calculate how to put these on the side of that and finish the quilt. I know that I'm going to have to make a piece to go in here, and a piece to go in here, and a piece to go in here, and likewise over here. And because I'm not a mathematical genius, I have to use what I've got available. So I have a lot of strips, jelly roll strips, and I'm going to figure this out using the jelly roll strips. I put this on my wall at a lower height so I can reach and see one side at a time. And that's what I'm going to do. So I know this is going to go here, and the center is going to go down the center. So my center is going to be somewhere up here. Pin in the wall. So my center is going to be somewhere up here. And I'm going to go over to the center of this one. Oh, my jelly roll isn't long enough. Well, let's see what I've got. Another jelly roll. So the center here, center here. Another pin. All right, let's do the other side. That's crooked, but it'll work for now. All right, up here in the center. Center there, I want to go over here. Pin, pin. Get another one. And it's going to go about here. I have another pin, yes I do, yay. Oh, that's crooked, but it's, what do you think? I think that's going to do just nicely. So what I need to do now is calculate the size of the piece that's going to go up here. Of course, there's going to be a seam allowance here. Move this down. That makes a difference. And there's going to be a seam allowance here. That's going to make a difference. Ah, yes. That will make a difference. It doesn't have to be that far out. All right. So I'll lower this here. I'll lower that here. And that'll go down lower. And this, of course, will be a bit lower, but it'll be fine too. That's better. Better, isn't it? So I added up my seam allowance in here. So that corner and that corner are going to get sewn into the piece. So I need a piece of a triangle up here that's 16.5 across this side and half of that. So I need to make 4 16.5. So if I made a 16.5 inch square and cut it in 4, that would give me this triangle, wouldn't it? Yes, it would, right? Square, I cut it in a diagonal that way and a diagonal that way. I'll have 4 of them for the points. 16.5 inches there. Now this one is a bit more tricky. So when I make this triangle, I'm going to have to make it come up this far. This distance, that distance, and across, and it will have to come up this far. And likewise, when I make this one, it has to be the same. And when I get here, I'll fold it over and just stitch along one of the directions, because that fabric is going to be the same all the way around. Yeah, it'll work. But using what you've got as a measuring device, everybody's got extra strips of jelly roll somewhere. I'm just going to use these for my binding at the end when I'm done. So I had them out. It'll keep me busy for a while, but I'll get it done. Yes, I finished the flimsy. I put the 4 big blocks in the corners and I added the extra pieces. Now all I have to do is quilt this one. I think it looks really nice. So all I have to do here is just trim off a little bit of the side that I added here, and I will find some backing for it and quilt it. And I'm going to use these green strips around the outside as my binding. And I think that's going to be a nice quilt by the time it's finished. For a bunch of orphan blocks that I was given and had no idea what to do with it, I think this turned out really well. And it used up things that I have in my stash. And that's the important thing, being sustainable. I love using the things that I've got and I don't have to go out and buy anything. Really nice. So I'm going to post this video today and I'll show it to you on the next video when it's quilted, and I'll show you how I go on with the next bunch of orphan blocks as well. All right. Thanks for watching, and I hope you love this one, and I hope you have subscribed. See you next time.